What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate y'all connecting with me while I do my 10,000 steps downtown Detroit, stepping. Man, it's an interesting time to be an American, isn't it? We got a situation here where FEMA is claiming to really not have any money. We got victims of the hurricane that are supposed to get a $750 payout. Now, $750, that's really not a lot of money for people who lost everything. Let's just be for real here. I remember this was a while back, like maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. We had a really bad flood here. Basement flooded. I lost a lot of stuff. Had to throw out a lot of stuff. And FEMA made themselves available to us. And times were a little different then. We didn't have the migrant situation that we're dealing with right now. But FEMA made themselves available to us to make claims, and they took care of me. I ain't gonna hold you up. They gave me a few grand to replace the things that I lost. So that's me. I didn't lose everything. I just lost some things in the basement. Yeah, it was, some of the things were irreplaceable, honestly. Old things, some new things. But they did look out. And I really couldn't complain. But you look at what's going on now with the way these folks are being handled with this recent hurricane, and $750, I look at that and I say, that's ridiculous. Just no way. And it seems to be, man, this is from reports that I read. This isn't my personal opinion. This isn't something that I made up. This is what I've seen from reports. FEMA is seemingly out of money because they have spent $640 million on migrants this year. Now keep in mind, this year's not over. We're at the beginning of October. So up to this point, $640 million spent on migrants out of the FEMA fund, to where now you have Americans who actually need that money, Americans who pay into the system through taxes. A $750 payout is what they're told they're to get. Now, why is this troubling? I look at how there's money for everything. There's what now, $200 billion or something of the like that's been sent over to Ukraine. We've also sent hundreds of millions in financial assistance to various other places, Iran included. And now you have a situation where actual Americans need help, and they're being told, well, there's no money. I just really can't get with that. I find that to be insulting to American people. I find it to be honestly, it's a slap in the face for the people who voted you in, and your job is to serve them. How is it that everyone else can benefit from what we have to offer except actual Americans? Like, how does that work? That one, someone's gonna have to help me understand that one. How is it that we as Americans are supposed to be okay with everyone else getting some sort of financial aid with tax dollars, but then when you have actual Americans in a bad situation, they're told there's no money to help out? That doesn't work for me. So I implore y'all, vote, right? Vote. When you go to the polls, Remember this sort of stuff. Remember how the people who are put in place to serve you and act in your best interest did the opposite. There is no way that you can go to the polls and honestly feel good about casting a vote for someone that contributed to the current situation. Now, I'm not going to tell you which way to vote how you're going to vote. I'm just saying, be informed. You have too many people that they really don't care about the issues. They don't look into the issues. They vote based off of emotion. They're like, I don't like this person, so I'm going to vote for that person. Or I don't like that person, so I'm going to vote for this person. It's not really about who you like or who you don't like. It's about who's going to act, in your best interest, essentially. So I look at the fact that none of us are better off right now than we were 5 years ago. None of us. I don't know anybody who actually is. I know a few people who claim they are, but they're not. They're really not. They just don't want to admit that they're worse off now. And it's, as I said, it's usually to do with emotion. When you have people that are acting unreasonable and they refuse to look at facts, they're not going to let a silly old thing like facts get in the way of their argument. Oh, man. Like, I don't know what you can do. I've had various different discussions with people. Some great, some not so great. And, some of them get a little spirited, but we usually, can have a meeting of the minds on some level. Even if they want to go hard one way or hard another way, there's usually some middle ground that we can meet on where we both agree, hey, there's room for improvement here or there. But you have some people, and I know someone like this personally, there is no amount of defending and excuse making that they won't do, right? They have limitless excuses when it comes to why things are bad. And things are bad. I mean, they're not as bad as they could be for everybody. For some people, they're definitely getting it worse than others. But collectively, we as a whole are not better off than we were 5 years ago. Like I said, now it may have something to do with region, but I said before, year and a half ago, when we had that flood, FEMA took care of your boy. Like they gave me that kickback to where I was able to replace some of the things that got ruined. And I was far better off at the start than many of these people who've lost everything. Like they've lost everything. You're talking about $750. That's not okay. It's not cool how you pay taxes, you pay into a system, and you have everybody benefiting from it, but you have people living here right now that are better off than you because they're being taken care of. You have migrants that are getting, $1,500, $2,000 a month in food money. They're eating better than you. You're eating ramen noodles while they're eating shrimp and lobster. You're living in some ran down place, barely making it. You're doing okay, but your living situation could be better. And they're living in a hotel that's all being funded with the tax dollars that you pay into the system. I don't know how you can be okay with that. I'm certainly not okay with that. And I'm not even in a bad situation, and I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with it, and I'll never be okay with it because I see people who are in bad spots right here who could use some of those kickbacks, and they're just essentially being left on their own, while people who, some people feel like they don't even belong over here. Some people feel like these folks shouldn't even be over here. And these people who, in their opinion, shouldn't even be over here are getting more benefits from the system that they don't even pay into than the people who actually do pay into it. That does not make sense to me. I'm sure to many of you that doesn't make sense. And I implore you, remember this stuff when it's time to vote. And not just for the presidential election. Remember this stuff when it's time to vote, even for your local elections. When it's time to vote for your mayor, when it's time to vote for your governor. Remember these things. Track record matters. So often, you have politicians in office in these different cities, and they get away with doing a lot of things that are counter to the people who they took office to service. They do these things that are counter, but they do it under the radar. No one really pays attention to what's going on. So start knowing what's going on in your town. Start knowing who's in what office and what their job is. Start knowing what their track record is, how they weighed in on this issue or that issue. We got to hold these people accountable, because if they're in office and they're supposed to be serving us and they're not doing that, they need to go, and they need to be replaced with people who will. So it looks like it's a preseason Red Wings game about to happen. I'm across the street from Little Caesars Arena, and I've been seeing all the Red Wings jerseys. So definitely a preseason game about to happen. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there, y'all, and continue stepping. Appreciate y'all as always. Thumbs up, like this video, holla.